Are you ready for fall of 2022 and the tech tools and strategies that you will be using as we move forward? Get my top 10 list in about 10 minutes as we talk about what technology has brought to us over this last 12 months. This year has been different. It has been a roller coaster most of us would just as soon not have ever started riding. But we are getting off. Things are improving and getting better, and we have learned so much. And I would like to share with you some of the strategies and techniques that we have discovered over this 12-month period. I'm Dr. Roger Menier, Ed Tech Director at NWOET. I have about 12 years classroom teaching experience, including many hundreds of students that I've worked with computer programming and other classroom topics. 7 years as district tech coordinator, and now, as I say, NWAT. Does that mean I know the answers for sure? No, I don't. But through working with many different school districts, observational evidence, looking at research and best practices, we've discovered some things that seem to have really worked well these past 12 months, and that we're probably going to want to continue as we move forward. And we've discovered some things that have not worked very well, and we're probably going to want to get rid of as quick as we can as we resume face-to-face learning. So in about 8 more minutes, I will give you that top 10 list. But first, let's talk a little bit about the future. Thanks to the investments the state of Ohio has made, Chancellor Randy Gardner has talked about the millions of dollars that are going into broadband internet throughout the state of Ohio. And the Governor DeWine has talked about the money that's going to be used to help us restart and make up for the academic losses that we know have occurred over this last 12 months. The Ohio Department of Education, ITCs, remote edX, ed tech agencies, and your own local school district, along with many others working together to recover, regroup, and resume following what we've been through. And one of the things we know that's coming through all of this effort is that for the first time ever, by fall of 2022, virtually every student will have a device and home internet access. It is really coming. Depending on which survey you look at, where you're at, we expect around 85, 90% of students to have home internet access in the fall of this year, fall of 2021. And by about 18 months from now, fall of 2022, we really think that more than 99% of students will have home internet access available to them, broadband that they can use to do their homework assignment and their at-home learning, even when we're 100% face-to-face. And so that's what today's presentation is going to focus on. Are you ready for fall of 2022? And what tech tools will you be using? So before I get into the top 10 list in about 7 more minutes now, I want to talk about selecting tech tools and why you might want to pick this tool and pass that tool by. I'm going to go back to my amusement park analogy here for a few minutes. When you're at an amusement park and you're walking down that midway, you're going to see all sorts of treats on that midway. You're going to see sandwiches and cotton candy and funnel cakes and a whole bunch of things that aren't really very good for you. But you're also going to see some options like a healthy sub sandwich with lean protein and lots of vegetables, and some meat and potato options, and a salad plate. The healthy choices are there. The things that are good for us are there. You just might have to look for them a little bit more carefully than some of these other choices that are. I know about you, but in my email, every day, I'm getting promotions for different tech tools and learning strategies. Some from for-profit companies and vendors, and that doesn't mean they're bad guys. Some for nonprofits, some from different research institutes, and they all say, this is the way to move our students forward. This is the way to recover academically. I'm advocating and going to be talking with you about more back to basics, about the meat and potatoes of what really is going to help us recover, in my opinion, and based on best research and observational evidence that we see going forward. What tech tools and why? I am going to mostly be talking about generic versus brand names. That is, when I talk about homework posting tools, things like Google Classroom and Canvas and Schoology and Emoto, I'm going to refer to them as homework posting tools. There are several tools out there, PowerSchool and others, that are really work well for some districts and for some situations. And what's not important was which particular tool you select, but that you have a tool from this category. And with that, I'm going to begin with my top 10 list. I take full credit and blame for the tools that are selected here. I do want to give a shout out, however, to Lieutenant Colonel John Fowler, retired, who helped guide me with some of my thought processes and how do we recover from the year of academic losses that we've had. Anytime there's an emergency or a disaster, there's a recovery process that we need to go through. And that process that applies to a broad range of difficult situations is what I'm applying in today's presentation. And part of that is put together, what tools do you want to have as you come out, as you are recovering? Number one is that homework posting tool. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more than the other tools because it is so important. It is the glue that holds everything together. As we look at research and best practice, observational evidence, we know that students who use a homework posting tool, teachers who provide that tool to their students, the students do better. I give you this challenge, and I have never had any teacher come back and say, I'm wrong on this. Post your homework assignments online for 2 weeks and see if your students don't do better with the homework, even when you're 100% face-to-face. That doesn't take an F student and turn them into an A student, but overall, most students, almost all students will do better when homework is posted online. And when you select that homework posting tool, here's the hard part. It needs to be consistent across a building, preferably across the district, but at least across the building. Struggling students need to have one place to go where their homework is posted. This is very, very important. And if there's one thing we've learned from parents this past year, it's that they want to know, where do I go to get the resources I need to help my students? Many parents and caregivers are deeply concerned and want to help their child learn if they know how to do it. And picking one homework posting tool, not several, but one of them, is so critical to getting parents engaged and involved, continuing the engagement that we already have gained with many parents, more so than ever, as well as improving and building on the success we have had in that arena. Not for every student, but certainly for many. We have had more parents engaged than ever before in this process. And we want to build and continue on that. Maybe they won't be as engaged as they have been before, as more responsibilities shift back to us as educators, as is the way our system was designed to run, but we still want to keep those parents involved, and homework posting is critical. The other thing that has worked so well, and we've really seen some impressive results in some districts with this that have really implemented an improved and expanded student and parent communication plan. Ways in which we've communicated with our parents and our students when they've been at home. We've tried all sorts of things, and many of them have worked well, and we want to continue that. Maybe they will not be used to the same extent they have been over the past 12 months, but we do want to continue an improvement. And one thing in particular, we know that parents and students, for the most part, prefer texting over other methods of communication. And we want to continue to build on that using some of the free tools that are available to you in your district. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more later on. Number 3, live video instruction. We've been doing that a lot in remote learning. We want to continue that. Again, maybe not to the extent we've been using it the last 12 months, but we know that video instruction, including live instruction and recording short videos for students to watch when they have been absent, or even when they've been present physically, but aren't paying as much attention as they should, or simply need to review critical concepts. These short videos have shown very, very effective in helping many students, and that's something we want to continue. Something else that we're going to want to continue is online quizzes. There's a lot of good programs out there, Quizlet, Kahoot, and many, many other programs that can be very effective. Google quizzes and forms, find one or two, not a dozen of these, find one or two that you can use with these students and continue to use them to give you as a teacher rapid short cycle assessments so you can find out what concepts have they learned and what might you need to provide some additional support or reteaching. Online assessment tools have really come into their own over the last 12 months. It's something we want to keep as we move forward, even when we come back to face-to-face learning. that we continue to use these both in the classroom and when students are at home. Number 5, grouping together G Suite, Google Suite, Office 365, this set of tools that you have available to you that come in a package, so that again, it's easy for teachers to select tools from that package and easy for students to begin to learn the tools that are going to be used with their content areas, with their teachers in their building. No more critical than any of them is the writing tools. We need to make sure that we provide students a consistent, small set of writing tools. So they learn how to use that tool, how spell checker work, grammar checker, capitalization, and so forth. We want to make sure students know that writing tool and are proficient using it so they can think about the concepts and the content, not how do I use the tech tool. Number 7, you hear less about this, but I believe it's very important that we help students communicate with numbers and charts and graphs. They communicate to us verbally and through other presentation methods I'm going to mention next, but we also give them the tools, not just spreadsheets, but other tools that will help them communicate their thoughts and learning experiences and demonstrate their knowledge. Presentation tools, the traditional tools are, PowerPoint, Google Slides, things like that. But over the last 12 months, we've really seen short student created videos. These 30-second video responses that students give us, from Flipgrid and other similar programs where students can quickly record a reaction, record their thoughts, and feed it back to the teacher in a format that's short enough, compact enough that teachers can quickly evaluate it and provide the student feedback as well. Really an explosion in many classrooms and many teachers. If you start using some of these presentation tools that are designed for student use, I think you'll be impressed with how it works. We move on, coding and virtual reality. And these are more or less in hierarchical order from most important, most vital to things you get to later in the process. Once students have mastered the basics, we don't want to forget about the great engagement and learning and higher level thinking and creativity skills that students can begin to use. But again, these come after we've got the basics. These start to be a little bit like the frosting on the cake. Now, coding, I taught coding for many years to hundreds of students. I strongly believe in it, but it's probably not what I'm going to focus on right now as we begin this recovery process. I'm going to be focusing on some of these other tools in the core content areas. I didn't say you can't do programming, but we look at where we put the focus and the emphasis as we rebuild from the academic achievements that have been lost over this past year. Virtual reality, I firmly believe that in the next 3 to 5 years, you're going to see virtual reality be an active component in almost every content area at almost every grade level. But right now, that's probably one of those frosting on the cake, or maybe the sprinkle on the frosting of the cake. I'm not saying you can't delve into it a little bit, but think, is this one of the core tools I need, or is this something I'm going to use, very sparingly, maybe to provide, a little bit of additional engagement or interest building, but it's not going to be core to my curriculum yet, though it's coming. And don't forget these critical content specific tools though. Book flicks for reading, for example, from InfoHio. As we know that many students have lost reading fluency over the last 12 months. Book flicks and other online tools like that are available free to every Ohio student can be a tremendous advantage. And as students begin to have devices that they can take home and use at home, I think these are only going to be provide further enhancements to our ability to help struggling students, especially in reading fluency and developing better readers. And then other content tools, Demos for Math, I just throw that up, for example. There are many other tools out there that are available free online, Khan Academy, et cetera, the InfoHio Digital Video Collection. There's a lot of resources out there that you as a teacher might have discovered during this time of mostly remote learning that you want to make sure you continue during face-to-face learning, as well as for homework assignments for students. So as we look at this academic recovery, we remember it's a process, it's not an event. It's not students were remote yesterday, they're back with us today and everything's back to normal. It doesn't work like that. Anytime there's a disaster or a war or a flood or a pandemic, it takes time to get back to the routine that we have become used to. And it takes time to learn how we can take advantage of the new skills and strategies that we develop during this emergency period. So we want to take time to celebrate the accomplishments and the things that have worked well, and to take a look at our current status and where are we now? Identify the processes that worked and those that didn't, and that we prepare for the future, both a future of face-to-face instruction and a future if an emergency should happen again, whether it's a short-term remote learning due to snow or some other natural disaster, whether it's remote learning because a student has some medical issue, or whatever the case might be, that we as teachers and educators and students have that developed tool chest ready for us to use as we go into the future. Getting that tool chest ready for you locally, I mentioned there's lots of choices in these tools. I encourage you to begin by doing a survey. It could be an individual survey, but these really work very well at a building level or perhaps district level, where just take a look, do a survey of what tools have teachers been using, which have worked well and which have not worked as well. And that we make sure that our students understand that we have a changing time as well. As we look at our students, that we have clear expectations. They know assignments need to be in on time, that they need to learn to use the tech tools that we're providing to them, and they ask for help when needed. We know there's many reasons that students have not been able to use tech tools over the last 12 months, but we are providing more and more resources, especially over the next 18 months, where those tools will be in the student's hand. And through the recovery efforts offered through our Ohio legislature, Governor DeWine, Chancellor Gardner, the Remote edX project, and your regional service providers, it's all working together. You're going to have tech tools and strategies like we've never had available before. But students have to learn to use those tools and know it's an expectation. We're using these tools to get assignments in on time. Now, today's presentation, you may receive a 30-minute professional development certificate free of charge. To get that certificate, you need to know the code URF22. That's URF22. Write it down. You'll need to use that code. Where do I get the link for the certificate? You can go to ohioedtech.org, or you can go to the website where this presentation, a video of this presentation, an extended version of this video, and many other resources are available. That's at sites.google.com/nwoet.org/techtools22. Again, an extended version of this presentation, the link to your professional development certificate for this class and many other classes available from Ohio EdTech are available at that link is at sites.google.com/nwoet.org/techtools22. What else are you going to see in the extended version of this presentation? We're going to be talking more about how to use live video instruction, about staying in touch with parents and using texting to stay in touch with parents in a safe, secure way using free resources you already have in districts, developing your plan, the importance of giving students 2 days to submit assignments. That's one thing we've learned. When we give students a little bit longer to complete assignments, many students will complete them more successfully when they have 2 days rather than one. And remembering that home is for learning, even when we're back face to face, maybe not as intensively as it was when we were in remote learning, but home has been for learning, and it continues to be a place for reading and writing and viewing and self-checks and practice, even when in the future. That we need to help our students prepare an organized workspace at home so that they will be prepared, avoiding distractions and ready to learn both in the classroom, face-to-face, and at their at-home learning assignments. What tech tools to use and why? Look for the healthy choices, the ones that are really going to help with this academic recovery. And then you will be ready for fall of 2022, knowing what tech tools and strategies to use. I'm going to leave this next slide up for about 30 seconds. It is, again, ohioedtech.org for the link to the professional development certificate for this class and many other classes that we have listed there. And for this link is also listed along with this presentation, video, and other resources discussed at sites.google.com/nwoat.org/techtools22. Again, we're going to leave this up for about 30 more seconds. Thanks for watching. Oh, most importantly, yes, the link to the discussion document where you can post your questions will be at this location as well. So post your questions right now. I will answer them for you in the discussion document. That document is also posted at sites.google.com/nwoat.org/techtools22. Thanks for watching.